Herzlich willkommen zur späten, ausgesuchten Unterhaltung für ein möglichst breites Publikum. And I'm not a native speaker, so I must admit that I wonder if Grendel is already defeated. And I must admit that I don't know. And I also wonder if a native speaker who listened to the last part of this story knows if Grendel is defeated by now. The giver of rings as thou urgest me do it. The folk chief famous and inform thee early what answer the good one mindeth to render me. He turned then hurriedly where Hrothgar was sitting, old and hoary, his earlmen attending him. The strength famous went till he stood at the shoulder of the lord of the Danemen, of courteous Thanemen. The custom he minded Wulfgar addressed then. His friendly liege lord, folk of the great gatemen. Over the way of the waters are wafted hither, faring from far lands the foremost in rank, the battle champion's Beowulf title. They make this petition, with thee, O my chieftain, to be granted a conference, O gracious King Hrothgar. A friendly answer refuse not to give them. In war trappings weeded worthy they seem. Of earls to be honored, sure the atheling is doughty, who headed the heroes hitherward coming. Also, ich glaube, dass er noch nicht besiegt ist. Ich glaube, die haben nur darüber geredet und was er vielleicht bisher gemacht hat, aber es könnte auch sein, dass sie ihn schon besiegt haben. So quasi in der Nacht und Nebel-Aktion. Hrothgar answered, helm of the Scyldings. I remember this man as the merest of striplings. His father, long dead now, was es Ecthau titled. Him Rathrel the gateman granted at home his one only daughter, his battle-brave son is combat now, sought a trustworthy friend. Seafaring sailors asserted it then, who valuable gift gems of the Geatmen carried as peace offering thither, that the 30 men's grapple has in his hand the hero in battle. The holy crater usward sent him. To West Dane warriors are ween for to render. Gainst Grendel's grimace gracious assistance. I shall give to the good one gift gems for courage. Ah ja, die Vorbereitungen laufen. Digga, wieso ist schon wieder der Rotstich? Die Kamera macht das irgendwie. Die erkennt da was nicht ist. Das ist sogar gelbrot. Ist ja auch nicht schlimm, aber die Nachwelt soll wissen, dass ich mir Gedanken darüber gemacht habe, wie das Licht scheint. Hasten to bid them hither to speed them, to see assembled this circle of kinsmen. Tell them expressly their welcome in sooth to, the men of the Danes to the door of the building. Wulfgar went then this word message shouted, my victorious liege lord bade me to tell you, the East Danes a telling that your origin knows he, and over wave billows wafted ye welcome are hither. Valiant of spirit, ye straightway may enter, clad in corslets cased in your helmets. To see King Hrothgar, here let your battle boards, wood spears and war shafts, await your conferring. The mighty one rose then, with many a liegeman and excellent thane group, some there did await them, and as bit of the brave one in the battle gear guarded. Together they heed them, while the hero did guide them. Neath Herod's roof the high-minded went then, sturdy neath helmet till he stood in the building. Beowulf spake, Hail thou, Hrothgar! I am Hilak's kinsman and vassal forsooth. Many a wonder I dared as a stripling, the doings of Grendel. In far-off fatherland I fully did know of. Seafarers tell us this hall building standeth, excellent edifice, empty and useless. To all the earlmen after evening lights glimmer, neath heaven's bright hues hath hidden its glory. This my earls then urged me, the most excellent of them, Carls very clever, to come and assist thee, folk leader Hrothgar. Fully they knew of his fight with the Nickers. The strength of my body themselves they beheld me. When I came from the contest, when covered with gore, foes I escaped, where 5 I had sore. The giant race wasted in the waters destroying. The Nickers by night bore numberless sorrows. The weathers avenged, enemies ravaged, alone now with Grendel. He intends to fight Grendel unaided. I shall manage the matter with the monster of evil. The giant decided. Thee I would therefore beg of thy bounty, bright Danish chieftain, lord of the Scyldings, the single petition, not to refuse me, defender of warriors, friend lord of folks, so far have I sought thee, that I may unaided my earlmen assisting me, this brave mooded warband purify Herod. I have heard on inquiry the horrible creature. since the monster uses no weapons. From veriest rashness recks not for weapons. I this do scorn then, so be Hylac gracious, my liege lord beloved, lenient of spirit, to bear a blade or a broad-fashioned target, a shield to the onset, only with hand grip. I too shall disdain to use any. The foe must grapple, fight for my life then. Foeman with foemen he fain must rely on. The doom of the Lord whom death layeth hold of. I ween he will wish if he win in the struggle. Should he crush me, he will eat my companions as he has eaten thy thanes. So those were all ancient stories. To eat in the war hall, earls of the gate folk, boldly to swallow them as of yore he did often, the best of the Rethmen. Thou needest not trouble, a head watch to give me, he will have me dripping. In case of my defeat, thou wilt not have the trouble of burying me. And dreary with gore, if death overtake me, will bear me of bleeding, biting, and mouthing. Me, the hermit will eat me, heedless of pity, marking the moorfins. No more wilt thou need then. Find me my food if I fall in the battle. Send to Hylac the armor that serveth to shield my bosom, the best of equipments. So be, richest of ringmails, 'tis the relic of Rethlar. The work of Wayland goes weird as she must go. 8. Hrothgar discoursed, Helm of the Scyldings. To defend our folk and to furnish assistance, thou soughtest us hither, good friend Beowulf. The fiercest of forts thy father engaged in, Heathlof killed he in hand-to-hand conflict. Mid Wilfingish warriors then the Wederish people, for fear of foe, were forced to disown him. Thence flying he fled to the folk of the South Danes, the race of the Scyldings, over the roll of the waters. I had lately begun then to govern the Danemen. The hard seat of heroes held in my youth, rich in its jewels, that was Hirgar. My kinsman and elder had earth joys forsaken. Half in his barn, he was better than I am. The feud thereafter for a fee I compounded. Over the weltering waters to Wilfings I sounded. Ornaments old oaths did he swear me. It pains me in the spirit to any to tell it, what grief in Herod Grendel hath caused me. What horror unlooked for, by hatred unceasing, waned in my war band, wasted my hall troop. Weird hath off-cast them to the clutches of Grendel. God can easily hinder the scather from deeds so direful, oft drunken with beer. Over the ale vessel promised warriors in armor, they would willingly wait on the ways wassailing benches, a grapple with Grendel, with grimmest of edges. Then this mead hall at morning with murder was reeking. The building was bloody at breaking of daylight. The bench steels all flooded, dripping all bloodied. The forecourt was gory, it had fever retainers, dear beloved warriors whom death had laid hold of. Sit at the feast now. Thy intents unto heroes, thy victor fame show as thy spirit doth urge thee. A bench is made ready for Beowulf and his party. For the men of the Geats then together assembled in the beer hall blithesome, a bench was made ready. They warlike in spirit, they went to be seated. Proud and exultant, a liegeman did service, who a beaker embellished bore with decorum. A gleaming drink poured, the gleeman sang Willem. The heroes all rejoiced together. 9. Unferth, the Thane of Hrothgar, is jealous of Beowulf and undertakes to twit him. Unferth spoke up. Ecglaf, his son, who sat at the feet of the Lord of the Scyldings, opened the jousting. Art thou that Beowulf, with brack-headed struggle, on the wide sea currents at swimming contended? Where to humour your pride the ocean ye tried? From vainest vaunting adventured your bodies in care of the waters? And no one was able, nor lief, nor loath one, in the least to dissuade you, your difficult voyage, then ye ventured a swimming, where your arms outstretching the streams ye did cover. The merways measured, mixing and stirring them, glided the ocean, angry the waves were, with the weltering of winter in the water's possession. Ye toiled for a seven-night, ye at swimming outdid thee. In strength excellent thee, the early at morning on the Hathorim's shore, the home currents tossed him. Sought he thence'ward the home of his fathers, beloved of his liegemen, the land of the Brondings, the peace castle pleasant, where a people he wielded had borrow and jewels, the pledge that he made thee, the son of Binstan hath soothly accomplished. Then I ween thou wilt find thee less fortunate issue. Though ever triumphant in one set of battle, a grim grappling, if Grendel thou darest, for the space of a night, nearby to wait for. But Beowulf retaliates. My good friend Unferth, sure freely and wildly, though fuddled with beer, of Breca hast spoken. I do not fear. Neither Grendel nor your words. You hast told of his journey, a fact I allege it, that greater strength in the waters I had then, ills in the ocean, than any man else had. We made agreement at the merest of striplings promised each other, that we yet would adventure, out on the ocean. It all we accomplished, while swimming the sea flood sword blade unscabbarded. Boldly we brandished our bodies expected to shield from the sharks. He sure was unable to swim on the waters further than I could, more swift on the waves, nor would I from him go. Then we two companions stayed in the ocean, 5 nights together, till the currents did part us. The weltering waters weathers the bleakest and nethermost night, and the north wind whistled. Fierce in our faces, fell were the billows. The merfisher's smoot was mightily ruffled, and there against foemen my fernot corselet hand-jointed hardy help did afford me, my battle-sark braided, brilliantly gilded. Lay on my bosom, to the bottom then dragged me. A hateful fiend's gather seized me and held me, grim in its grapple. 'Twas granted me nathless to pierce the monster with the point of my weapon, my obedient blade. Battle of carried the mighty mere creature by means of my hand blow, the Leviathan. So ill-meaning enemies often did cause me sorrow the sorest. I served them in quittance. With my dear-loved sword, as in sooth it was fitting, they missed the pleasure of feasting abundantly. On me, ill-doers evil, of eating me body, of surrounding the banquet deep in the ocean. Deep in the sea, but wounded with edges early at morning, they were stretched high on the strand of the ocean. Down at the shore, put to sleep with the sword, that sea-going travellers no longer thereafter were hindered from sailing. The foam-dashing currents came light from the east, God's beautiful beacon, the billows subside. That well I could see, the Nessus projecting. Fortune helps the brave earl. The undoomed hero, if doughty his valor. His valor! But me did it fortune to fell with my weapon. 9 of the nickers of night struggle harder. Neath dome of the heaven heard I but rarely, nor of wight more woeful in the waves of the sea. yet escaped with my life the grip of the monster. Weary from travel, then the waters bear me to the land of the Finns, the weltering waves. Not a word hath been told me of deeds so daring done by thee, Unferth, and of sword terror none never hath Brecker at the play of the battle, nor either of you two feats so fearless performed with weapons, glinting and gleaming. You are a slayer of thy enemies, and will suffer damnation, wise as you may be. Though with cold-blooded cruelty thou killedst thy brothers, is that true? Thy nearest of kin, thou needs must in hell get direful damnation. Though doughty thy wisdom, I tell thee in earnest, offspring of Iglaf never had Grendel such numberless horrors. The direful demon, done to thy liege lord, Herring and Herod, if thy heart were as sturdy, thy mood as ferocious as thou dost describe them. He bath found out fully that the fierce burning hatred, the edge battle eager of all of your kindred, of the victory Skildings, need little dismay him. Oaths he exacteth, not any he spareth. Of the folk of the Danemen but fighteth with pleasure, killeth and feasteth, no contest expecteth. From spear Danish people but the powers and valor. Of the earls of the gatemen in honor. Early shall venture to give him a grapple. He shall go who is able bravely to banquet when the bright light of morning, which the second day bringeth, the sun in its ether robes, over children of men shines from the southward. Then the grey-haired war-famed giver of treasure was blithesome and joyous. The bright Danish ruler expected assistance. The people protector heard from Beowulf his bold resolution. There was laughter of heroes. Loud was the clatter. The words were winsome. Wealtho advanced them. Queen Wealtho placed the hostess. Consort of Hrothgar, or of courtesy mindful. Gold decked saluted the men in the building, and the freeborn woman the beaker presented. She offers the cup to her husband first. She greeted the gate prince. God she did thank, most wise in her words, that her wish was accomplished. That in any of earlmen she ever could look for solace in sorrow, he accepted the beaker, battle-bold warrior at Wealthow's giving. Then equipped for combat, Beowulf spake offspring, I purposed in mounted the ocean. I determined to do or die. When I boarded my boat with a band of my liegemen, I would work to the fullest the will of your people, or in foes' clutches fast and fall in the battle. Deeds I shall do of daring and prowess, or the last of my life days live in this mead hall. Maybe it's farewell. These words to the lady were welcome and pleasing, the boast of the gateman. With gold trappings broidered, went the freeborn folk queen, her foe lord to sit by. Then again, as of yore, was heard in the building, courtly discussion, conquerors shouting. Heroes were happy, till Yelfdine's son would go to the slumber to seek the refreshing. For the horrid hell monster in the hall building knew Here a fight was determined, since the light of the sun they no longer could see, and lowering darkness over all had descended, and dark under heaven shadowy shapes came shying around. The liegemen all rose. One saluted the other. Hrothgar Beowulf in rhythmical measures, wishing him well, and the wassail hall giving to his care and keeping, quoth he, departing. Not to any not to anyone else have I ever entrusted, but thee and thee only, the hall of the Danemen, since high I could heave my hand and my buckler. Take thou in charge now the nobles of houses. Be mindful of honor, exhibiting prowess. Watch against the foeman, thou shalt want no enjoyments. Survive thou safety, adventures, or glories. Then Hrothgar departed. His earthsong attended him. Folklore of Skildings forth from the building. The war chieftain wished then withal to look for the queen for a bedmate, to keep away Grendel. The glory of kings had given a hall watch. As men heard recounted for the king of the Danemen, he did special service, gave the giant a watcher, and the prince of the gatemen implicitly trusted his warlike strength and a wielder's protection. His armor of iron, of him he did then his helmet from his head to his benchman committed, his chaste-handled chainsword, choicest of weapons, and bade him bide with his battle equipments. So be. The good one then uttered words of defiance. Beowulf German, ere his bed he upmounted. I hold me no meaner in the matters of prowess. In warlike achievements than Grendel does himself, hence I seek not sword edge to soothe him to slumber, or life to bereave him, though well I am able. No battle skill has he, that blows he should strike me. To shatter my shield, though sure he is mighty. In strife and destruction, but struggling by night we shall do without edges. Dare to look for me, weaponless warfare, and wise-mooded father, the glory apportion, God ever holy, on which hand soever to him seemeth properly. Then the brave-mooded hero bent to slumber. The pillow received the cheek of the noble, and many a martial thane attending, sank to a slumber. Seemed it unlikely that ever thereafter any should hope to be happy at home. Hero friends visit, or the lordly troop castle where he lived from his childhood. They had heard from slaughter, had snatched from the wine hall, had recently ravished of the race of the Skildings. Too many by far, but the Lord to them granting the weaving of war speed to valorous heroes, aid and comfort, that every opponent by one man's war might they worsted and vanquished. God rules the world. By the might of himself the truth is established, that God Almighty hath governed the ages, kindreds and nations, a night very lurid. The traveler at twilight came tramping and striding. The warriors were sleeping. One only expected, mid-earthmen 'twas established. Then place foeman was powerless to hurl them to the land of shadows. But serving as warder, in terror, he angrily bided the issue of battle. Neath the cloudy cliffs came from the moor, Grendel going, God's anger bear. Him, the monster intended, some one of earthmen, in the hall building grant to entrap and make way with. He went under Welking, where well he knew of the wine joyous building, brilliant with plating, gold hall of earthmen, not the earliest occasion. He the home and manor of Hrothgar had sought, never found her he in life days later nor earlier. Hardier hero Hawthanes more sturdy. Then came to the building the warrior marching. Bereft of his joints, the door quickly opened, on fire hinge fastened, when his fingers had touched it. The fell one had flung then, his fury so bitter, opened the entrance. Early thereafter the foeman trod the shining hall pavement. strode he angrily. From the eyes of him glimmered a lustre unlovely, likest to fire. He beheld in the hall the heroes in numbers, a circle of kinsmen sleeping together, a throng of Thanemen. Then his thoughts were exultant. He minded to sunder from each of the Thanemen the life from his body. Horrible demon, ere mornings came, since fate had allowed him the prospect of plenty. Providence willed not to permit him any more of men under heaven to eat in the night time. Hylax's kinsman great sorrow endured, how the dire-mooded creature, in unlooked for assaults, were likely to bear him. No thought had the monster of deferring the matter. But on earliest occasion he quickly laid hold of a soldier asleep, suddenly tore him, bit his bone prison, the blood drank in currents, swallowed in mouthfuls. Nearer his throat then, the stout-hearted warrior, snatched as he slumbered, seething with hand grip. Forward the foeman foined with his hand. Caught he quickly the cunning deviser, on his elbow he rested. This early discovered the master of malice, that in middle earth regions, neath the whole of the heavens, no hand grappler greater. In any man else had he ever encountered. Fearful in spirit, faint-mooded waxed, not oft could betake him death he was pondering. Would fly to his covert, seek the devil's assembly. His calling no more was the same he had followed long in his lifetime. The leech kinsman worthy of Hylag minded his speech of the evening. Stood he up straight and stoutly did seize him. His fingers crackled, the giant was outward. The earl stepped farther, the famous one minded to flee away farther, if he found an occasion, and off and away avoided delay. To fly to the fen moors, he fully was aware of the strength of his grapple in the grip of the foeman. 'Twas a luckless day for Grendel. It was an ill-taken journey that the injury bringing, harrying Harmer to Herod wandered. The place re-echoed to all of the Danemen, dwellers in castle, to each of the bold ones. Earlmen, it was terror. Angry they both were, arc warders raging, screaming, rattled the building. It was a marvelous wonder that the wine hall withstood then. The bold in battle bent not to earthward, excellent earth hall, but within and without it was fastened so firmly in fetters and iron, by the art of the armor, from the still there bent meat benches many as men have informed me, adorned with gold work where the grim ones did struggle. The skilding wise man weened never before that by might and main strength a man under heaven might break it in pieces, bone-decked, resplendent, crush it by cunning, unless clutch of the fire and smoke should consume it. The sound mounted upward. Novel enough. On the north Danes fastened a terror of anguish on all of the men there who heard from the wall the weeping and plaining, the song of defeat from the foemen of heaven. Heard him hymns of horror howl, and his sorrow, hell-bound bewailing. He held him too firmly, who was strongest of main strength of men of that era.